Be the legacy. What does that mean? We're talking about that topic with Allisyn Howard from Ava Wellness on Behind the Book. Let's jump in. I'm Heather Andrews, and on Behind the Book, we journey beyond the cover. On each episode, I dive deep into the minds of authors, unlocking the mysteries behind their literary creations. Discover the stories behind the book exclusively here with me. Be the legacy. What does that mean? Today we're doing a deep dive with Allisyn Howard from Ava Wellness. Previously we had talked about having value proposition. So we're going to talking about be the legacy now. Welcome back.
Hello.
Yeah. We talk about the legacy. We were talking during the intermission, and what does that mean to you?
Well, as I had said in one of the previous episodes, for me, I have a very big value on legacy. So, and we were chatting in between where we want our great-grandchildren to be like, wow, I'm named after like great-grandma Allie or great-grandma Heather, and like, this is awesome. Oh my God. But to me, like, that's something really special. And that people used to make fun of my partner and I for it because we would be talking about that at like 21 kind of thing. And it's hard to build that legacy and that impact. And because you're not necessarily going to see what that impact is.
For sure.
Right. And that's really hard as a business owner to be like, oh my God, I'm doing all this work. Like you were saying, like, hey, I've been in business 9 years. You're doing well. Awesome. But you don't necessarily know what this 9 years of essentially foundation and building and starting to scale is going to look like in 20.
Yeah.
Right. A couple of my favorite people, the Hermosis online, love them, but they're intense and I adore it. But they talk about nobody gives a crap showing off like, oh my God, look, I've made it, blah, blah, blah. Like those kinds of posts on like Instagram and YouTube and all of that. Great. But what people really want to see is you struggling. Because they can see themselves in that. And that's why I broke my chapter in the Culture Revolution into mini stories. Because people have come to me now going, well, that's so easy for you. You've been in the wellness industry for 16 years. And I'm like, dude, I have learned some hard lessons in that time. But breaking it up into chapters, people can start seeing like, oh, okay, she was a 24-year-old, basically a kid, totally naive, and had to learn it. And I'm really grateful for those years that I've done, because now I can kind of start to see where this can go. Like,
yes,
a couple of weeks ago, I've now had some opportunities come my way that it's literally, I'm gonna get emotional about this, but it's a couple of dreams that I've really wanted to have since I was like 12 years old. And they're going to come to fruition. It's gonna be a lot of hard work. It's gonna be a lot of stuff, but like, man, this is so in alignment with what I've always wanted to do.
Right.
And we talked in a previous episode, how do you start figuring out what your values are? Kind of go back to what you cared about as a kid as well. And that does start shedding some light on where do you really want to go. Before all of the external stuff was coming in, where did you want to go?
Yeah.
And what lessons have you learned so far where it's, okay, this is pushing me towards that path.
Yeah. It's funny when you say that. Like, when I think I turned 54 this year, I sat down and I really pondered, like, what is it that drives me? What is it that motivates me? And why is it? And there'd be some days, that you want to shut it down and just walk away. But yet all through the thicks and the thins and the trials and the tribulations, I know that I'm supposed to be helping people share their stories with this world. That is the one thing that I know that I am supposed to do.
Yep.
But one of the main reasons that keeps me going is I never want my children to feel like they have to stay in something that they're stuck in and they can always create. And they always have that.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to do that with, my divorce and my business and just forging that path. And I know one of my sons, my youngest one, who's very idealistic, but also thinks that he can just do this and it's just going to be so easy. And he's like, well, I thought you'd be further along than what you are. And
so did you, so did I.
Yeah. And I just looked at him and I said, yeah. I said, but you have to have a mindset. So you could have a $10,000 mindset, a $100,000 mindset, then you got to have the $1 million mindset. And there's some things that you have to experience to get to the million.
Because the problems that you have at a $10,000 versus $1 million mindset are very different.
Oh, very
different. Like those are hard, and that's something that I love about the way I teach values and why I talk about it so much. And you know, even from listening to me for these last 4 episodes, how many times have I brought this up? But that's where being in alignment with your values can help solve those problems and change that mindset. Because like, man, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, if I wasn't helping practitioners be able to find and help their ideal clients and make sure that I'm making that impact out, because as you know, but our listeners wouldn't, I have Lyme disease, and it took 13 years for me to be diagnosed, and I'm in the wellness industry. Right. And it was a lot because therapists didn't necessarily know how to help me. Right. They saw me as a complicated case. They saw me as, in some cases, a paycheck. And it ended up being resentful on both sides, because I'm like, oh my God, I've got Allie again. Like, she never gets better, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going in being like, I just want to be better. Right. So for me, if I wasn't doing that, like, I truly believe I got Lyme for a reason. Because like, man, that gives me so much empathy on both sides of the coin, both the client side as well as the practitioner side. Man, if I can make a difference for 1,000 practitioners, how many thousands of people am I helping by helping them niche down and get into alignment with their values? And that's what keeps me going at the 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm lying in bed or on the floor in some cases going, what am I doing? And it's just, and that's great, because usually right after that, it's like, okay, am I in alignment? Yes, I am. All right. And things will start coming. Nice.
Well, and I think the thing is that everybody will cheer you on when they've seen you win, right? But it's that climb that people really, and I remember saying, like, I remember when my ex-husband deployed to Afghanistan, and it was like, I just need help. Like, I can't manage 3 kids and a full-time job and a business and all the things in between. And have him in like the military in a bomb zone. Right? It was stressful, and I had to ask for help because I had to hire babysitters, I had to hire a house cleaner, and that's even in my business. I've had to have help because I can't do this on my own, and we're not meant to. And when people, and I think when you're honest and you're authentic and you are vulnerable, and people see that within you, they want to be a part of that journey. Right? Like you've got things going on, and there's things that I'm launching in later this year as well. And you need that inner support and those inner believers. They're going to take you there.
Because it's really easy to listen to the external, where people will say, and I know you've had this said to you, and our listeners probably have too, oh, how's your little business going? Right? And it's almost disparaging, because it's just like, oh man, I thought I'd be further ahead by now, blah, blah, blah. But it's the struggle that people that are in it as well or want that can relate to. And that's what even makes it more sweet when we do win. Right? When we do see our friends and people, even online, if we've never met them, launching something or having fun and doing things that totally feel just that. Which is fabulous. And that makes it more fun to cheer them on, because we also know we're creating that for ourselves.
When you go back to that little business, somebody just recently asked me that, how's your business? And I said, I'm working with 50 clients and my editors are paying their mortgages.
That's huge.
So like my little business is actually paying mortgages.
And not just one, not just yours. Like a group. Right there, that's huge.
Because we're, and that's really powerful. And when I think when we did our climb in 2019, when we hit a team of 30, and we ramped up so fast because people just got wind of, and it was it was our biggest climbing year, and we were in business for 2 years, and we hit the 6-digit mark, and it was phenomenal. But I am telling you, that foundation, and that was built in a reaction mode just to keep ahead. And I remember when we actually got halted, and we were like, we have too many clients and not enough editors. And that's a great problem to have.
Oh, it is.
And then,
But it's a hard problem to have.
it's a
as
hard
well.
problem, because you can grow too fast and you can not grow fast enough. So like, what is that steady climb? But then when COVID hit and we had to go back and learn, and that took a bit of a hit because we had our event. It was a very interesting one but I knew how to do it in a different way.
Yep.
And so it's taken me a little while to get back up there, but I'm there.
And it's something I like that you brought up, like when the pandemic hit, because that's when I started my business, was during that. Like I had been in the industry professionally for basically forever, but when COVID hit, it was the first time that I really took a step back for myself. I knew what my company's values were. I knew what I was hiring for. I knew what we were going to be doing, but I didn't really look at for myself, what are my values? What do I want? Because I still had my value of legacy, but building somebody else's legacy doesn't necessarily correlate, right? And when COVID hit, it was this like screeching halt of like, okay, what needs to happen? What should be happening? And really going back to those values and like diving really deep into those made it so that way when we met like 2 years later, it was, this is what I want to do. I have no idea how I'm going to do it. Or which way, like which direction, but this is the end result that I want to be doing. And you gave me great advice that day, and it's helped. And a lot of people I give the same advice to. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Like, okay, so you're doing this, just do that. Because at the time I was like, well, I'm kind of a coach, but I also help people implement blah, blah, blah. And you're like, so you're a coach that implements. And I was like, you just said it so matter-of-factly. I was like, oh, duh. Okay, yeah. Like I do value like not just giving advice, but actually seeing practitioners put that into action and see those changes happen in their business for the better.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good.
It was just so matter-of-fact. It was just done.
Well, and I did it when I was driving and looking straight and going, and I'm like, well, then coach, be the coach that implements.
It was like, oh, yeah, duh, okay.
But watching you grow and just being a part of that journey, and I think when you go back to just the silent mentor, and it's, intuition being that, but also surrounding yourself with the people whose insights that you would buy, and it's just like, hey, I need to bounce this off of you. What is it that you think? And, and it's having that trust factor amongst these certain people and people who have your back. And, when I think of being the legacy, I think anybody that has created a business has a vision for where they want to go. And I think sometimes we get locked up in, oh, I got to do everything myself. But it's like, no. And I think one of the values, and in starting to do this Culture Revolution book and having heard all the stories first, because I heard them first, and watching this book come to life, it's just been better than Christmas. Like but it's just been so cool to see everybody.
That's why it's an Amazon bestseller.
That's right. Yeah, and
or number one.
It's a number one. It's number one bestseller. Yeah, because it hit hot number one hot new release. Did you know that? Yeah. and it's better, and watching everybody just embrace it, and they're like, wow, and it hasn't even been released yet. So
it doesn't come out until this week.
Exactly. So and it's just creating that momentum and creating and sharing that piece of self. And when you have that, it's being able to have a team that works in their zone of genius. And that's really what I've said all the way along for my own company and my own legacy and my own people, is I want everyone to be able to work within that zone of their genius and be excited when a book comes in and go, oh yeah, I get to, or oh yeah, I get to build a cover, or oh, I'm so excited my book's coming out. And that is what being a legacy and creating that for someone. And it's not even you being front row center. It's just holding that space for someone to step into a bigger space for themselves.
Like seeing that in my client's face when they get it, when they understand, oh my God, that's my value. Okay. And start making decisions based on that. One of my clients called me last month after we implemented, when we really got specific about what he wanted to be doing. And he called me 30 days later. He was like, Allie, I just had the most profitable month I've ever had with the best clients. He's like, I haven't had a burnout, I haven't had a panic attack, I haven't had anything that he's been having consistently. And he's just like, I just feel good. And for me, I'm like, that's amazing, because how many more people is he now able to help and feel good? Yeah. Right.
Well, I think that and this is a whole other episode. Unfortunately, we're not going to get into
so
episode 5.
Okay.
But it's when everything that we talked about, listening to the intuition, harnessing that space, and really listening to the silent mentor, and finding that hidden edge, and you find your alignment. There's a piece of there's that open to receive, give, but there's that peace and ebb and flow and ease that happens. Like, you still have to work at it, but when you follow everything that you've talked about today and everything that's in that culture revolution, there's a peace and an ease that happens, and you can create that ripple for others.
Which is huge.
Where can people find you on?
So you can find me at avawellness.ca, as well as on Instagram at Ava Wellness Business.
Perfect. Thank you. And as we wrap up this series with Allisyn Howard of Ava Wellness, just stay tuned for the next episode, and make sure that you go and get your book, Culture Revolution, on Amazon. It is a game changer. Till next time. It's been a literary voyage here on Behind the Book. My sincerest thanks to our featured authors for letting us peek behind the curtain. I'm Heather Andrews, urging you to keep exploring the vast universe of literature. Until our next chapter, happy reading.